We have a war on the weekend, so it looks like it's gonna be fun. From one of the things that I did see was that the moves have been pretty lackluster today compared to otherwise, at least what compared to what people would have expected. So that's one good news that I have been seeing. Anyways, we'll just wait in for more people to tune in and then we can start. So 21,630 on the Nasdaq. So that's looking good. I mean, compared to the situations that we're in, this is actually way better than before. What people expected, down about 26 points is pretty much nothing on the index. So that's fair game, man. It's no one needs to really lose their sleep over these kind of moves. So as of now, from what I can see, markets look pretty okay. Nothing's really happened. I would say it's better than what most people expected. If we can take out the high that we have today on the futures, 21,726, I think we should be making moves again higher. It'll be fascinating to see what exactly happens by the end of close. I do know that there is some news that Israel did attack another facility. So here's some of the news that's come out. It says US Embassy in Qatar has instructed all Americans in the country to shelter in place until further notice, out of an abundance of caution, with no further details so far from the State Department. The Qatari Foreign Ministry says that the security situation in the country is stable. So looks good for now. No problems at this moment. So pretty okay. Let's see. Let's get in the votes. Everyone that's joining it eventually, please go ahead and vote. We're gonna get a few votes in. Let's see. Do people expect markets to go up today, go down? Let's see what happens. What in the world is, anyways? A lot of the Iranian National Revolutionary Guard Corps offices and officers were killed today. More than 100 is what they're saying in eastern Tehran. Some of the pictures were completely leveled, and I don't know. I mean, at the moment, these forces are the ones that are there for suppressing dissent and for enforcing regime control, right? So it's going to be fun to actually figure out and see how does the Iranian regime take what's happening? Do they respond? Do they not respond? Do they close down the Strait of Hormuz, which everybody's been talking about for some reason? Or do they allow their friends China to keep getting the oil from the Strait of Hormuz? Right? Remember, China gets 90% of its oil through the Strait of Hormuz. So that's gonna be fun to see what happens with China, right? Anyways, let me say hi to K Colomore. Hi there. Nanu Arianta says, how's it going? So nice to see you guys. Good to see. So everyone, this is what we do. We come in live for about an hour before the market. Go ahead and do a 30-minute post market. And then once the market closes, we do about an hour. So join in, subscribe, make sure you guys answer the poll. I want to see what people are expecting. As of now, people are still expecting risk off in the market. I'm still of the opinion that the market's going to head higher, most likely today as well. I mean, most stocks are down less than a percent. The Nasdaq's down about 30 points, so it's pretty okay. It's nothing too incredible. The volatility index up 2% for a day when America literally bombed the living daylights out of Iran. Volatility index at 2% is nothing. Bitcoin's flat at 101,000. Ethereum's flat. All of those guys are flat. Chinese stocks closed about a percent higher on the Hang Seng Tech, and the Hang Seng Index in itself was about 0.67. So let's see what oil is doing because that's the one. Oil is still down 0.3%. So that is actually good news. If you want to see equities do well, it has an inverse correlation with oil. So oil's currently at 73.33. So it looks good for now. I mean, I don't see any reasons as to why it's going to be a problem. You are also seeing some form of dollar strength. The DXY is picking up 93, 99, 324. So the dollar as a currency is picking up against most currencies. And you are seeing that pick up. Now, that's the only thing that I've been seeing since early morning, since futures opened, that the dollar has slowly and steadily been picking up and heading higher. So I've seen it all the way from the 97 levels, now heading up from last week, now heading up to about 99. So it looks like the dollar index is going to be heading higher. And if it does, it also means that to some extent the bond yields would take a breather. As of now, the bond yield's down about 0.75. So, which is what I'm saying, right? It's likely that if the dollar starts appreciating, you'll see the bond yields heading lower, and equities to some extent would also gain. It's just more safe haven buying into the US dollar at the moment. Okay, let's go ahead and see what else is currently going on in this world. We're going to go through news for the next 45 minutes. That's currently geopolitics is what's driving the markets, so that's what we're going to stick to. I need to go ahead and get the words of FOMC member Waller and what he spoke. So let's talk about that as well. 9:45 we'll be live. That's when exactly 15 minutes post opening you're going to be getting the flash manufacturing PMI. So we'll go down those numbers as well. And at 10 p.m. we're going to be getting, so 10 a.m. we're going to be getting existing home sales. Another important metric to keep looking at. We need to see what's happening with home sales. I again don't think it's going to turn yet because you are seeing the funds rate still high, right? I mean, you're not seeing the Fed cutting rates. Until the time the Fed doesn't cut rates, it's going to be really tough for housing stocks to turn, for home sales to improve. So you're still seeing home building stocks. Look at the Home Depot, Lowe's of all the world. They're still lackluster. They haven't participated in this rally that we've had in the past 2 months. Anyway, so we had the Eurozone, we had the French manufacturing PMI came worse than expected. The German manufacturing PMI was better. The UK manufacturing PMI was also decent. Services was fine. Manufacturing PMI on flash for the Great Britain was better off. The dollar comes, the dollar based news comes in at about 9:45 a.m. So we're about an hour and 10 minutes away from that. So that should be fun. We'll keep a watch to see what happens there. Let's go ahead and see what else is going on. Let's see what other news is currently going on. Mm. Germany's Merz, which is the Chancellor of Germany, says, I see no reason to criticize the US or Israel for striking Iran. So, JP Morgan's allowing only essential employee travel in and out of Middle East. The US Embassy in Qatar has instructed all Americans in the country to shelter in place until further notice. So, maybe things do get worse. Who knows? Right? So there were some news of a missile being intercepted. There were some missiles that were aimed to US forces in Syria. Syrian channels are reporting that a missile was intercepted last night after attempting to target US forces, which maintains the longest runway constructed by the US in Syria. So things necessarily might be heating up, right? Israel believes that attacks by Iran backed Shia militants on US and Israeli targets are now highly likely. So maybe that happens. Let's see. All right. Let's go over the news. Let's spend some time on the news, maybe half an hour, 45 minutes on the news to figure out exactly what's going on. Uh, so today, because of hydraulic fracturing, which is basically fracking that's been going on in the markets at this moment, the US has net exports of about 2.5 barrels per capita. Also, the world's largest seller of liquefied natural gas. So remember, every time when you had the Saddam war, when you had the Iraq stuff going on, when you had 1990, 1991 lessons, and people kept thinking that, okay, it's going to affect America because oil matters. It will affect America for sure. It'll affect the globe if oil prices go up. But do remember that the US has now become a net exporter of oil. So it has a lot to gain from also a higher price, but at the same time, it has a lot to lose if the prices keep rising and double up, right? Like I've been saying, if you see the price of oil going to 100, 120, you will enter a global recession. It has happened time and again. There are very, very high likely scenarios where if oil doubles in a single year, you have seen. I think the only time that this has not worked out has been in 2020 when oil prices declined while that's because of consumer demand declined all over because you just had COVID, right? Everyone just sat at home. Excluding that recession that lasted for about 2 months, there has never been a scenario where oil has doubled twice in a year and you have not seen a recession in economies. So always look for that. And the White House also came out, right? Caroline Levitt did come out and say we have a high degree of confidence that where those strikes took place is where Iran's enriched uranium was stored. Uh, let's see how bad this gets, right? I mean, okay, Novo Nordisk terminates collaboration with Hims. Direct access to Wegovy will no longer be available to Hims and Hers Health. Hims is down 20% in pre-market trading. Wow. Let me see what's happening with Novo because that I'm not sure if that's going to be heading higher based on this news. Yeah, it's down about 6.5%. So, but Hims and Hers, that's the one that's basically gone a bit crazy. It's basically ended its weight loss drug sale collaboration. So that's going to get bad. Falls after Novo Nordisk terminates. It's going to be ugly. Let me see what's currently going on with Hims. A lot of people do own it. A lot of retail traders own Hims. They're expecting it to do very well. $64 stock is now trading at 49. That's about 22% lower. Yeah, so we were in the green for the day on the Nasdaq. We went back into the red when we once we heard some news about Israel hitting the Fordo facility today, right after the US strikes. What I'm looking at right now is about 6 points down on the Nasdaq. So it's pretty much a dead open. You're going to open flat. There'll be a lot of noise that happens after the opening. Remember, last Friday was the triple witching, but as of now, we're good to go. Mm, let's go ahead. Let's finish up whatever we started about the news. Okay. You are seeing northern Tehran pretty much getting blown up with all of these things currently going on. It's pretty ugly. But yeah. Circle and Pfizer have joining forces to bring stablecoins. Stablecoins are the ones that have actually been doing pretty well. Look at Circle's stock, right? It's pretty much gone crazy. It's, I don't know. At this moment, it is looking. So the IRGC headquarters have been blown up as of 24 minutes back. It's located in the city of Karaj. It no longer exists. So that's there. Reports say the courthouse of Tehran's infamous Evin prison, which holds political opponents of the regime, has just been hit. Okay. So today's big news, at least in the markets, is the fact that a lot of the flights have been suspended. There is still a lot of consumer demand that might take a hit because of this scenario that's currently playing out in the Middle East. Do I expect it to have a larger impact? It all depends on the way Iran retaliates. If Iran retaliates by bombing US forces, by making sure that the way they retaliate brings America's ground forces in or American strikes again in, and it leads to the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, stocks could go down 5 to 7%. Do I still see an all time high coming this year? If the price of oil does not double this year at any point of time and stays there, I think even if we go to $100 per barrel, all time highs are out of question, completely out of question. You will most than likely enter a recession. Let me be blunt about this. As much as bullish as I am ready to change my view at a dime if things change. So this is something that I have been looking at, and this is something that I am currently pretty certain that the price of oil currently has an inverse correlation with equities. Look for that. Look for what's happening with oil. Spend time for the next few weeks looking at oil. You don't need to look at the equity markets. If you can just see oil, you will realize if oil is steady and stays where it is, equity markets will rally. If oil heads lower, equity markets will rally like no tomorrow. If oil heads higher, you will more than likely see a scenario where equities start falling. So it's just something to keep in mind because there are a lot of these scenarios where you can have equities take a hit and very soon. Remember, we've recovered a lot of our prices back. We've recovered a lot of the fall that we had in April post tariffs back. And it might not be out of the ordinary to see a 4 to 5% pullback before you see a rally higher. Remember, it's very normal to see that. Do I see it happen? Again, like I'm saying, it's all dependent on the retaliation of if this was a market-based scenario, I could have still told you that okay, this is what I feel. Right now, we're at the trigger point of one man deciding how he wants to retaliate. The way he decides to retaliate will be the way he will technically be the way a lot of it gets deemed in terms of prices on the equity markets. That would also affect commodity markets, global indexes, as well as it will affect oil, right? So we are at this moment not in a recession. We are not even heading into one. We have an employment market which is currently weak and weakening. It is nowhere even strong. It is it's not falling off a cliff, but it is getting weaker. It is something that everyone must remember that at this moment, if you have lost your job, it is very tough to get a job. If you have your job, great, you're not being fired. So layoffs are not picking up like crazy. Firings are not happening pretty much everywhere. A bit here and there, 5,000, 7,000 here and there is normal for the American markets. It's not too much. But the strength with which the American job market used to be there a year and a half, even 2 years back, is no more there. That has ended. So if oil does double in price or heads towards 1995, it'll be very tough for an American consumer to deal with such kind of an issues. That is something that is pretty much that I'm currently looking at because I don't want to end up in a scenario where I'm holding 100% of my investments and don't realize what exactly is happening under the global scene, right? Let me get these few questions. Nilesh Panchals. Hi, how are you, Nilesh? Nobody, I have no classes. Sorry, this is all free. It's online. You have the right to buy and sell the way you want to. I don't do anything in terms of uh, any of these. No classes for me. So I just stick to this, man. Let me go ahead and see a few things. What's going on here? Okay. Let me just go ahead and put in this description because that's one thing that I missed out. There's a video coming out of the live that we made last time. I have edited it so that you guys don't have to watch the whole thing about the Iran versus Israel story. It's within 60 minutes and it's pretty much live because while the missiles were flying, we were live. While the bombs were happening, we were live. So that is something that I have pretty much edited it for you guys so you guys don't have to go in and watch an entire 2 hour video. It's all in within about 65 minutes. So you can literally see us reacting to most of it and making everybody realize that on Monday, what everyone was expecting was a 10% rally in oil. Everyone was expecting a crash of 5%. And granted, right, the weekend markets were showing that oil was going to be up 7%, 6%, 9% at one point of time. You were also seeing the you were also looking at the equity markets down 1.5% to 2%, right? None of that is currently going on. So it is looking like the markets are going to open flat about maybe 1 point in the green, if any. Some of the stocks are down less than a percent, some are maybe down 2%, some of the high beta are down about 2%, the rest are down less than a percent. The indexes are flat, almost turning into the green at this moment. What are we looking at? Few of the other things. Currencies, dollar has improved. Oil is back into the red, right? I mean, that is something that is fascinating. Oil is falling more and more. As of currently, it is down 0.5%. So it is 73.20. It touched a high of 75.79. This is the WTI light crude. If you go ahead and look at Brent, you'll be able to see Brent at about it went all the way to 77 on Brent and now back down to 75. So that's news for now because we are currently my sole motivation to doing the lives in the post market, pre market, and the weekend. This time we did a Saturday and Sunday. Uh, it's pretty much here that you are looking at markets rebounding, and a lot of people, right? I mean, the questions that I asked today was, how will the market close today? And a lot of people are saying that a green rebound is incoming. This is exactly what I was saying on Saturday and Sunday when these missiles were flying. Now, don't make too much of it. If the war does end faster than everybody expects, the market will rally a lot more. The market rallies in anticipation, not on news breaking out, unless and until it is something that it did not expect. Like the tariffs are something it never expected, right? So that took a big hit on the market. At the moment, we're okay. Uh, let's go ahead. So apparently, the current supreme leader of Iran is currently unreachable. Top Iranian officials, including former president, former justice minister, are seeking his approval to begin direct talks, but have failed to make contact. Only a small group has access to Khomeini. Okay, there's another guy called Ali Larjani from a prominent clerical family who wants to position himself as a future leader after Khomeini, but his authority is weak since Khomeini disqualified him twice from running for president. So, okay, maybe there's a lot of politics involved in this rather than just a few more things, right? Putin says Russia is ramping up mass production of oceanic missile complex. So we have more forms of war going on at this moment. Anyways, uh, so Putin just basically told the Iranian foreign minister that we're doing our best to support you. Please pass along our regards. Anyways, the Middle East conflict is pushing the world dangerously close to the brink. Let's see. German government officials on Iran says that they know that the US is also working on diplomatic talks. Oh, okay. So the Shah of Iran's son or grandson says that Iranian security officials are reaching out to defect. He's setting up a system for them to join the revolution with guaranteed protection. So I don't know how any of that works out. I mean, if there is a regime change or no, but irrespective of whatever happens for me, every morning that I wake up, I'm not interested in all essence as to which city and where has been bombed, either Tel Aviv or Jerusalem or Tehran or other places. What I'm looking at is the price of oil. That's my circle of competence, and I'll stay inside it. At the moment, it's still lower. We have about 40 minutes for the market to open, so that should be interesting. I still think we'll close in the green unless and until you have some stupid stuff going on anywhere. Mm, first half of June is pretty strong. The second half of June is pretty weak. I don't know. We got a week more of trading to go, so that'll actually tell us a lot more. The S&P has never been lower a year after more than 58% of the components made a 20-year high, 20-day high. We saw this rare bullish signal on 12th of May. Okay. Um, I mean, you get some of these things where the Democrats and Republicans are voting on how they believe that stocks are going to be in the next 6 months. You've always seen whichever party is in power, the other one that's not in power, saying that it's going to be lower. At the moment, the Democrats are saying that stocks will do basically worse than they've done in the GFC and the 2020 pandemic. So, let's go ahead. Let's see. So, Russia says that their support for Iran will be based on Tehran's needs. It all depends on what Iran requires. We've offered to mediate and made our position clear. That alone is a significant gesture of support. Moving forward, basically what they're saying is that we've offered to mediate and make position clear. So basically, Russia is saying that end this stupid shit as soon as possible before it becomes worse. Putin's come out and said that he's glad that the Iranian foreign minister is in Moscow. It gives him a chance to discuss urgent matters and explore possible solutions to the current situation. Again, like I'm saying, right, a lot of this depends. If things get solved, you're going to see stocks go back lower. What do we have here? Trump media approves a 400 million stock buyback. I think that's more important than the Iran war at this moment. So Trump, let's go check out Trump's stock. What's currently going on with that? He is up about 3.87% because they've approved a $400 million stock buybacks. I don't know. Let me go ahead and see some of the stocks. What's currently going on? Novo Nordisk collapsed. Estee Lauder Cosmetics stock pop 2%. DoorDash has moved 2% higher. Energy stocks are up. That was something that I would have guessed. Tesla is supposed to be up big. So they rolled out their robo taxi service. So they're up about 1.72%. Let me actually go and see what's happening with Uber. Uber's down about 0.69 because obviously if Tesla is going to be a competitor in the robo taxi, it's going to affect the way Uber's business is, right? It's going to eventually lead to more amount of people using maybe possibly Tesla instead of Uber, and that's going to reduce their market share. I mean, Waymo is been eating into market share slowly, so that's been happening. So I'm not sure if that's going to actually do better or worse. Let me just go ahead and look at the cryptos. Bitcoin's been able to hold its 100K, so looks like if it's able to do that, you can head higher. And Ether 2262, I would still expect it to head higher, maybe towards the 2500. It does look weak. It does honestly do look weak compared to all the other cryptos, at least compared to Bitcoin. But I think it could head higher. I mean, I've been bullish on cryptos for a while, so I'm just looking at them from that aspect. But again, don't go by my word when it comes to cryptos because I don't really spend too much time looking at that. It's not really my circle of competence. So I don't really spend too much time looking at crypto. Anyways, let me go over a few more of this news. HSBC says oil prices to rise on higher probability of Strait of Hormuz closure or other Iranian retaliatory actions after strikes on Iran. So yeah, let's see. Yeah, this is something that I've been agreeing as well. Morgan Stanley comes out and says that geopolitical sell-offs fade fast. So what they're saying is that history suggests that most politically led sell-offs are short-lived, modest. Oil prices will determine whether volatility persists, right? So don't waste your time looking at stocks for the next, I would say, week. Spend more of your time looking at how oil is currently doing. Currently, it's down 0.35. It was up more than 2.5, 3%. So the fact that it's in the red in itself answers a lot of questions. You are also seeing gold about down the same percent, 0.33. Silver's up 0.16. So it's looking better as of now. Mm, yeah, obviously, the head of this Russian foreign intelligence says the United States does not inform Russia in advance of its plans to strike Iran. So there's been no radioactive contamination as well. That's good. Mm, Iranian leaders are calling for missile strikes on US naval forces and the closure of the Strait of Hormuz in response to the American attack. I don't know if that's going to happen, man. I'm not sure if that's going to happen. I would be very surprised if that does happen. If you do see a scenario where all of this is taken out, it will be very, very tragic to see that happen. Don't think so. Well, let's see. Apple's expected to offer EU concessions in App Store talks. So that most likely should pave way for the non-tariff barriers that America was talking about. If that's able to get, I think Apple would be able to move ahead with its Digital Markets Act. The problem that it had, they're paying billions, so that's cool. Anyways, this is good news that JD Vance, the vice president, says Trump administration wants no boots on the ground in Iran. So looks good. If that continues, I think we're better off that way. No boots on the ground means stock markets will be high. Mm, let's go ahead and see what else is going on. Israeli military says it carried out over 100 strikes in Tehran over the past 2 hours. So let's see. Uh, Iranian parliament is considering suspending cooperation with the UN nuclear watchdog. I don't know how that's going to work out, but uh, let's see what happens there. Not sure. Okay, let's go ahead. Let's actually look at a few stocks and then we can go back to the news to see what else is going on in the world. Let me actually go and see if there are any currently any good stocks. Okay, let's put an end to this. And okay, we're about 45 minutes away from the flash manufacturing PMI, 30 minutes exactly away from market open. So let me see some of the stocks. Okay. Last check on Nasdaq up 12 points, so markets turned back into the green. One good news. Dollar yen, dollar's been picking up. Remember, the dollar yen works in a favor where if the dollar heads higher and the yen moves lower, equity markets do better. The yen is a risky currency, so people run towards that as a safe haven currency. That's when it turns around that way. So the USD JPY has that kind of an effect. If you actually do see uh, the dollar appreciate against the yen, which means the USD pick up and the yen fall down, it means people are selling the yen in order to buy the dollar and to buy other equities. People run towards the yen when there's a war, when there's tariffs, when there's news which makes the markets go lower, because the yen holds value better than the US dollar. So for whatever it is, at the moment, the yen is pretty much at a monthly high. So from 14th of May, the last time we saw the yen, the USD JPY trading at that price was 14th May 2025. We're almost 23rd June now. So yeah, if we're able to take out the 148, 149 level, you will start seeing prices heading higher and equity markets moving up. Let's go over some of the Nasdaq stocks. Let's see, AMD is up about 2%. AMD's been on a crazy run. I'll give it that. 2% up on AMD. So that's actually been doing pretty well. Let me also go in and see a few of the stocks. Like you have actually seen AMD move all the way up from 115 to 130 now in a matter of 10 days, right? Maybe 5 to 6 trading days. Last week was protracted trading day purely because of you're looking at it from somewhere around you had the Juneteenth holiday as well. So that's why about 5 trading days is what you had. And that's currently been something that's going on. Let me see what else. Dole Dash up about 2.53. We spoke about that. Got upgraded. So you have that going on there. Otherwise, stocks have been pretty lackluster, considering the fact that we should have been pretty much falling like crazy. That's what should have been happening, but didn't happen. That's why when I did the Saturday Sunday lives, also that's the same thing that I was clearly coming out and telling everyone that listen, stop getting so worried. Go back and study history to see how markets have performed during the Saddam war that happened, the Iraq war that happened, the Iran war with Iraq that happened, the Israeli 6 day war. How did stock markets react? Also on Sunday, for a lot of people that don't know about this, remember on Sunday, the Saudi Arabian stock exchange, the Tel Aviv stock exchange, the exchanges in UAE, and the exchanges in Bahrain are open. The Saudi Arabian stock exchange was down 0.1%. All the other Middle Eastern exchanges were up, and the Tel Aviv stock exchange closed 1% higher. So just think about it. They're bombing the living daylights out of Iran, and their stock market was up 1%. Why on earth would the Nasdaq be down 2%? Fair enough that they do have oil, so maybe people are looking at it from an angle that because there's oil, that's they're going to sell more. But Tel Aviv stock exchange didn't have any reason to go up. The reason being, when the market starts realizing that there is a particular winner in this war, or if it realizes that this war can be solved very quickly, the market starts turning bullish. Remember this, it's happened in history every time. So here's the story. When the US forces went into Iraq, right? The S&P fell 15% before US forces hit ground, before they even reached there. So that was in anticipation. The minute and the months around the time when ground forces of America started their assault, the S&P recovered, and that year we closed 26% higher. The reason why we closed 26% higher is purely because the market started realizing that this is going to be a very short-lived war. It is not going to be either a world war or a 2 year or 3 year war. Within a few months, the entire expedition that the American forces went on was ended, and troops finished whatever they were looking for, and they were almost heading back. By then, the equity markets are already turned. But do you imagine the amount of fear that people would have spread on social media, which was luckily not there at that time, at least at this stage, such a large stage is what it is today? That today everyone just keeps throwing, saying, oh, there's a missile hitting X, Y, and Z place, there's a missile hitting there, and there's this building gone, and then there's 50 people dead there, and 500 people dead here. Fair enough. I'm not of the concept that people should die, right? I'm all for peace. But in the world of capitalism, till the time no one's paying your taxes and no one is paying for your medical bills, please make sure that you're here to make money, and that's the way the channel works. So on Saturday, Sunday, that's the same thing that we came out and said, that please look at this from an aspect that most of the Middle Eastern markets are higher. There is zero reason why you're going to be seeing the markets being lower pretty much anywhere else. So for all of you that are new here, go ahead, subscribe. We do the live about an hour before the market opens and during market hours as well. I do mostly live even post market, so that'll be fun as well. You guys should join in there. So go ahead, subscribe, do the bit. Let me go back and see. PayPal's up about 1%. That's on news that their stable coin is currently a part of some stupid stuff that's going on. So it's not really important. Tesla's up about 1.5%. They launched their robotaxi service in Austin on June 23rd. 10 self-driving Model Ys. So he was able to do it. He's kept a $4.20 fee as well. So I mean, all said and done, he's been able to crack the market and he's doing it, right? So can he do it over hundreds of thousands of cars? Quite possible. If that is a scenario that does happen, do remember that Uber could be in a tough spot going ahead. So I wouldn't be a buyer of Uber at these prices or around, purely because of the fact that it looks like if Tesla does come and take some share out of Uber, Waymo for sure would be taking some share out of Uber as well, even though they are partnered in some cities. If self-driving cars is the way to go in the future, Uber will lose its price to earnings multiple. That's the game, plain and simple. So it could it could start heading lower as well. It might not be a great play for the long term. Okay, let me go see. So Chime is down about 1.42%. That's been an IPO that came out at about 27, went all the way to 45, 44.94, and now down to 29. So that's pretty much one way down for Chime. So been a pretty bad scenario for Chime. Let me actually go and see what the scene with the options for Chime are. We were actually talking about that a while back. One of the lives. Hmm. Okay, we're about 20 minutes away from the market open. So let me just go 10 points up on the NASDAQ, volatility index flat. I mean, you know what? If you actually go and tell someone who slept on Friday and woke up on Monday morning and didn't know anything about the attacks, they would just wake up to a normal day. They wouldn't know what is currently going on, what's been the change that's happened. But let's see. We will watch and see what's going to go happen. Okay, let's get back to the news. Let's see what else is going on in this world. IDF says that Iranian attacks on Israel are not over yet. 3 oil and chemical tankers have diverted away from the Strait of Hormuz. Okay, that's interesting. Omani Sultan and UAE President in a phone call condemn US strike on Iran. Okay, I don't know. I mean, they have US forces on their ground, so I'm not sure how that works out. A lot of the regime military headquarters in Iran have been struck down today by Israel. So, from whatever news I have here, Israeli fighter jets have launched over 100 munitions on targets across Tehran in the past 2 hours. Okay. SMC is announcing a 2 billion convertible note off. So that should lead to a price fall because that's never a good sign. Yeah, about 3.53% lower. So down about 3.53 on SMCI. Okay. I mean they've been a bit shady and a lot of people have been saying that they don't look that great. But who knows? Let's see. All right. Nvidia's partnered with them, so time will tell what happens with these guys. So this is US had pretty much alerted all of the Gulf countries before the attack on Iran. I'm not sure if that was something that I mean you could have that leak and then that would be an effect, right? So two VLCCs made U-turns at the Strait of Hormuz after US strikes on Iran. One was headed for Iraq, the other to the UAE. Loaded tanker departures from the Gulf are down 27% and incoming empty tankers dropped 32%. This is 2 hours back that happened, right? 3 oil and chemical tankers diverted away from the Strait of Hormuz. Not sure. Let's see. Let's see what else is going on. Uh, Israeli military also says it struck routes leading to Fordo nuclear facility. Mm. Israel is seeking to wrap up its conflict with Iran soon. So I think that's going to lead to something in Eventually, that's going to happen as well. Okay, this is fascinating. This is a stock that I own, Nike. So Raymond James reiterates market performance. Nike says worst of sales decline has likely passed, but challenges remain. Uh, the channel checks that they've seen says that Nike's fiscal fourth quarter being less bad than expected, and and so it does look like a lot of the scenarios are playing out, and that's what's happening. But let's see. Pfizer to launch stablecoin platform, so okay, that's fine. Hedge fund leverage hits 5-year high. So this might be something that people should worry about because if hedge fund leverage starts surging to 294% like last week, the highest since 2020, if things start getting worse, there'll be a large amount of unwinding that does happen. So that could affect a lot of the stocks going ahead. All right. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead. What are we? About 15 minutes away from market open. So we keep going. We'll keep going. We have 9:45. We have news coming out with flash services PMI on the US dollar. 10 o'clock, we got existing home sale. So we should be covering all of that. Sean says hello, 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 Sean. Nice to see you in. Okay, let's go ahead. So for everyone that's there here, well, I'm going to do a post-market live as well. So just go ahead, subscribe, and then you get a notification when I go live. Mm, and tide. Israel has apparently bombed the road to Fordo nuclear facility. Okay, that's crazy. I mean, some of these pictures that I have here, I wish I could show you guys, but it's like really bad. A lot of the stuff in Tehran has been blown up left, right, and center, and nothing good seems to be happening from that. Mm, Iranian foreign minister arrived in Moscow today carrying a letter from Khamenei personally addressed to President Putin seeking his support. I'm sure Putin will give his condolences and condemnation. Okay, none of that is what I'm agreeing with. And I think a lot of the Israeli weapons would still be refueled by America. So this is fascinating, right? Apple is now a major customer alongside Nvidia for TSMC's advanced packaging technology. According to media reports, Apple's upcoming A20 chips for iPhones will use wafer level multi chip module packaging with capacity expected to hit 10,000 wafers per month. Okay, anyways, that's fine. Let's see what's happening. So I would still suggest everyone just keep a watch on oil. Stop worrying so much about all the other equity prices that's going on. At the moment, Nasdaq's down 4. So that's like pretty much nothing compared to the fall that we have had in terms of sentiment. Oil is up about 0.5%. We were down about 0.5%. So we have seen some pickup in oil, almost 1% from the lows of the day. So that is being witnessed at this moment, and all of it has got to do with the fact of uh, you are going to see most likely the Strait of Hormuz being closed down by Iran because that's the only thing that's left for them to do. They're not going to militarily or diplomatically be able to solve this overnight, right? So easiest way is to get something back in return, shut down the Strait of Hormuz, cause global markets to collapse, cause a lot of pressure for diplomatic talks to begin, get a lot of their way while the Strait of Hormuz is shut, and then take a look at what happens. But they would lose a lot of the world's support in whatever little support that they have. So they'll find a lot more amount of people who would actually not like the fact of what they're doing compared to exactly what they believe is worth doing. Right. Anyways, let's get to some of the most latest news that's currently going on. Uh, Iran could retaliate against US forces in the next 2 days. Apparently, that's the news that we have. US assesses high risk of Iranian retaliation against US forces soon. US is still pursuing diplomatic resolution, two US officials say. So this is not news coming out from anyone. This is two US officials coming out and saying that Iranian retaliation could come as soon as the next day or two. One of the officials say, and they're still pursuing their diplomatic resolution. So it's pretty much high risk of Iranian retaliation, is what they're saying, either today or tomorrow, right? I'm guessing they might also know the date and time, so they'll take it out as soon as it becomes an issue. Mm-hmm. NATO's chief also comes out and says that allies will invest in thousands more tanks and armored vehicles. That is something that Trump's been asking for because he's been saying that you guys need to increase your defense spending. If they're going to increase their defense spending, it's going to be easier for them to eventually get a deal done with between the EU and the US. So it's going to be fun. I think most likely we're going to be going back to tariff talk in a week or 2 weeks once the retaliation is over. They need a face saving retaliation, so I'm pretty sure they're going to be doing some form of a retaliation, and that might just be the best buying opportunity that you could get. Again, it will depend on the scope of retaliation, how hard it is, how big it is, and I'm guessing if US officials know where and when it's going to get, they're going to pretty much bomb some place in the US and in the Middle East, which has US forces, but there'll be nobody there. So just like the way they did it, I think about 5 or 6 years back, it happened back then as well. So it wasn't too much to write into at that point of time, anyways. I think in about 30 minutes, you should also be seeing, or maybe like 20 minutes, you should also be seeing a video that I had made. It's pretty much a live breakdown of everything going on in the war. It's a 60-minute video, so you guys can go in and watch it whenever you want. I'll put in the link if it gets uploaded before we shut the live down. At this moment, it's looking that way. All right, let me go ahead and see if I can. Yeah, so it should be it's about 12 minutes more to go. So maybe if it does, I'll share the link so you guys, a lot of you guys can go in. Everyone that's new here, go ahead, subscribe. I'm going to do a post-market live as well. We do a pre-market live, a post-market live. When shit hits the fan, like what's happened between Iran and US, we do a weekend live as well. So go ahead, ask all of your questions, subscribe. We need to grow the channel. We need more people coming in. So, and this is not our primary job, but we're doing this to like help everybody out, and it's fun for us to do. So sometimes I have Sean and Nikhil coming in as well. Sometimes it's just me. Most of the times it's just me. So they come in sometimes and ask questions as well. So do your bit, subscribe, share it with someone that you think it can help. There are a lot of shorts out there that I believe can help a lot more individuals. Let me go ahead and see what's happening with the voting that I put out. So the question I asked was, how will the markets close today? 50% of them have come out and said that a green rebound is incoming. 40% say, 38% say it's going to be red and the market's going to sell off. 12% say that it's flat and confused. And no one says it's going to be volatile. So maybe it's going to be volatile. Who knows, right? That's what I'm saying, right? Go ahead, subscribe. You get notified every time I come live. Because I do like impromptu lives. Everything's not planned other than the pre-market and post-market. So subscribing just makes sense. It's just simple for you to figure out when I'm doing what. Okay, let me go see some of the other stuff. New York plans large nuclear power facility, seeks to add at least 1 gigawatt. Yeah, you need that kind of stuff anyways. Mm, let's see. Let's see. Meanwhile, in Gaza, the IDF has ordered residents of evacuate planned man whatever. Skyline over the city following extensive airstrikes this morning. It's been pretty bad in Tehran today. There's been a lot of bombing. Anyways, the Hezbollah Secretary General Naim Qassem comes out and says Trump's threat to assassinate Khamenei is a disgraceful act and at the same time a sign of weakness. Trump does not understand the status of this great authority among Muslims in the world, nor the dangerous consequences of such threats. An attack on Iran will come at a high cost as the entire region is at risk. In more important news, you guys should subscribe to the channel and join me for post market live because that is a little bit more important than this. Anyways, what am I looking at? 10 points up on the Nasdaq, 20.63 on the index. Stocks flat. Reddit's down about 2.61%, but that's high beta, so that shit can go up like 5%, 10% in a day as well. Let me go ahead and see some of the other stuff. AMD's up about 2.21%, so that's been actually flying. What's Nvidia up to? Nvidia's down about 0.67%. So AMD's actually been outperforming Nvidia since quite a while, since this month for sure. So that's not looking good for Nvidia. But again, Nvidia is pretty much back to its previous size. Tesla had a good robotaxi launch. Stocks up 1.5%. We're about 5 minutes away from market open. So we will most likely be continuing this in post market open as well. For a few minutes, we'll do it most likely till we get in the manufacturing PMI numbers, right? That's when there's going to be a lot more fun. Let me just check what's happening with oil. Okay, oil was up about 0.5% while I was speaking with you all. It's flat now, up almost nothing. If we do have a sell off and we break 70 on oil, 65 on the cards, equity markets all time highs. If oil does break down. So at the moment, oil is king. So everything is decided based on what oil decides to do. The dollar index is also holding on to its gains. Usually, the dollar index we've seen heads higher and then collapses all the way back down. It is holding on pretty well. So that is looking pretty decent at the moment. Let me go ahead and see if there is something more that's currently happening. I'm just trying to see if we have something. Okay, Caroline Levitt from the White House says President Trump is not pushing for US led regime change in Iran. President believes the Iranian people can control their own destiny. If the Iranian regime refuses to come to a peaceful diplomatic solution, why shouldn't the Iranian people take away the power of this incredibly violent regime that has been suppressing them for decades? That is the stance. So let's see. I believe under all of this, the big beautiful bill in the Senate will get passed. And the White House also says that Trump remains open to a diplomatic solution with Iran. He's still interested in a diplomatic solution. So I'm guessing once the strikes are over, obviously he wants diplomacy. Just makes no sense. So the IDF says that this is exactly 36 minutes back, right? They came out and said that they carried out a major wave of airstrikes in Tehran, targeting military headquarters, missile production sites, radar systems, storage facilities. I mean, this is hitting everything. Germany's Merz comes out and says that Germany should become site for up to 3 AI gigafactories. If that actually happens, that would be actually pretty cool. Okay, there you go, guys. 38 minutes back. I've been saying this on lives all throughout Saturday, Sunday, even today. China issues warning to Iran after threats to close the Strait of Hormuz. The Persian Gulf and nearby waters are vital trade corridors. They must be kept stable and free from disruption. So, I've been saying this since a while. China will not like the fact that the Strait of Hormuz has been shut. Let me actually go ahead and put this into the chat so all you guys know about it. Yeah, I mean, green this week. I'm not sure if it would be green this week. It would depend on how heavy the retaliation from Iran is. What I do believe is that if this intelligence is true and if this is not a joke, BBC News, Reuters, and CNBC published this news basically saying that these sources confirm China's statement emphasizing the need for stability in the Persian Gulf due to its importance for global trade. So I don't think China is going to be supporting pretty much what I've been saying for the past 3 days. China issues its warning to Iran after the threats to close the Strait of Hormuz. Persian Gulf and nearby waters are vital trade corridors. They must be kept stable and free from disruption. So China is dictating terms to Iran. Donald is playing 3D chess. I think he's playing 4D chess, bro. And everyone's getting played in this whole game. That's what's happening. So this, I would give him a 10 out of 10 for the art of a deal on this scenario. He actually nailed it pretty well. Kevin Hassett says Waller Trump are right about interest rates. So maybe this time you might see Christopher Waller become the next Fed chair. That could something be that might pretty much be happening as well. Yeah. So this is something you should always remember, right? This is an evergreen tweet. It says always buy the dip on a nuclear winter. If it does not happen, my portfolio will be on fire. If it does, my portfolio will also be on fire. Always remember that, right? Don't keep buying the stuff that everyone keeps telling you about, all of these things and what's going on, what's not going on. Okay, just relax and chill a bit. There's more to this than just this stupid wars that have been going on. There's a lot more to life and markets in general, right? Here you go. Just for some of you guys to realize that there's more to this. 50% of the people do believe that a green rebound is incoming today. Uh, Markets have opened. You are seeing stocks. Some of the stocks are down about 2%, 1%, 1.5%. The index is down only about 21, 17 to 21 points. So nothing crazy there. The volatility index has opened into the red. Not something even I expected. I would have expected it to be about 21, 22. Not happened. Uh, Most of the high beta stocks down about a percent, 2%. Okay, let's see. Trade desk down about 1%. Reddit down about 2. Lemonade down 2. Affirm down 1.2. Yeah, most of the other stocks are in the red. 26 down on the Nasdaq. 77 down on the Dow Jones. The S&P is down about 5 points. So it's pretty much, it's very little changed. Everyone's just monitoring what's happening with oil prices and Iran's response. So until anything concrete comes out of there, you're not going to really see anything major play out here. The 10-year bond yield is lower. We were at 4.4 as of last week. We're now at 4.34. So that's been heading lower as well. So that is something that you should look at. Let's have a watch at some of these things. Let's have a look at some of the other stuff. Let's see what oil is currently doing. That would actually be. Let me see. Bitcoin steady. Oil is up about 0.23%. So there's been no follow through buying that's happened in oil. Even though people were expecting that oil would be up 10%, 5%, 8%, it's up less than a percent. So yeah, for all that it's worth. Okay, so the index is down about 60 points as of now. We opened and then we've had lower about 83 points, 85 points lower. So you are seeing some form of selling on the Nasdaq, but it is not too much. Mm, let's see. So earlier this morning, the Israeli Defense Force announced that fighter jets that targeted routes in and out of the Fordo nuclear facility in central Iran in order to obstruct access to the facility by Iran after it was bombed on Saturday. Okay, whatever. Mm, okay, Israeli government spokesperson comes out and says that our objective in Iran is not regime change, but that may be the byproduct. So that's one way of saying something. 78 points down on the Nasdaq. Let me go and see some of the stocks that have been doing. I remember HIMS because Novo Nordisk basically killed the HIMS deal for Wegovy. So HIMS is down about 30% as of today. That is some volatility that that stock is going through. It was yesterday trading on Friday, pretty much at 65. Now it's trading at about 44. Uh, you guys able to hear me clearly? Just put it into chat if you can. Let me mic off and trying maybe the AirPods. Ah, Jesus. Mob, you're back. We got 7 people now, and you're still gonna tell me that nobody's there, right? I still remember you. If you stop spamming, my friend, buddy. Yeah, there you go. Mob, if you can hear me, just put it into the chat saying you can hear me clearly. I'm just trying to test the audio. I know you're going to reply to me soon, so that's why I just wanted to know if you're there. Anyways, let's just go ahead see some of the stuff. You can hear me, great, perfect. Till the time I can hear you, you can hear me. We're good. 75 points down on the Nasdaq. Dow is down about 24. Pretty much most stocks are down about 2.5%. So you're not looking at any of that falling massively. But yeah, that's okay. It's part of the game. Just look at Nvidia, it's down about 0.81%. So Chime is a stock, right? Chime has been falling about pretty much the minute since it launched. It was at about 27 where the IPO happened. It ran up all the way to 45, and 45 has dropped all the way to 28. So we're pretty much getting back to places around where the IPO price was. So let's see if you have follow through selling if 27 is taken out. Wage freedom's here as well. Sean's here as well. Nice to see wage freedom in. 57 down on the Nasdaq. Mm. Uh, Good evening. The markets are still holding up vis-a-vis the situation. Yes, the markets are holding up. This is something that I did expect, but at the moment it is looking okay for now. 23 points down on the Nasdaq. So it is looking like markets are holding up for sure for now, right? No problems there on that front. So again, remember at the moment, the only thing to look at is to figure out, uh, sorry,
Don't use the don't use this for the phone. Use it only for the laptop.
but everybody can hear me, bro. Now let it be. It's okay. Till the time they can hear me, that's fine. I was just trying to see if they can hear me. Okay, let's see. So, let me see what's going on here. Let's see if we recover a 6,000 on the S&P 500. That is something that's going to be better. If that does happen, I'm not sure. The dollar index also holding steady. USD JPY heading higher, 147. Yeah, most stocks are down about 2%. So the index is down only 15 points. The high beta stocks are lower by about 2%. You're not seeing any follow through selling that's happening. You would have seen it down almost a percent if there was follow through selling. So my bet is still on the fact that the markets turn into the green. We close in the green as well. It does look like we are going to head higher. So maybe the Iran thing was a false alarm for everyone. There's just more to it than at the moment. I'm not really sure if there is going to be crazy retaliation. I'm pretty sure they're just going to attack something, and they're just going to make the American forces head out from there inside the base and then just attack. That's the plan. I'm pretty sure that that's what's in their mind at this moment. Let me see what else is going on at this moment. It would actually be a very fascinating to see if most of these stocks that are down a percent and a half, 2%, they actually do recover and start heading towards the day's high and heading way higher, because then that would set itself up for markets to move towards all-time highs. We're still about 2.73% away from all-time highs. If you do get a deal, whether that's a China deal, EU deal, any of these deals actually deals happening, not just deals to make deals, if they actually do start happening, it'll start leading to markets going a lot higher. Let's go ahead. Let's see. We're trying to see if there's any stocks that have done incredible stuff or just shat. So as of now, AMD is up about 2.7%. So that's been doing well. What else are we looking at? AMD up about 2%, DoorDash up about 3%. What else are we looking at? To Lululemon still been falling, man. It's been falling every single day since the day of earnings. When they reported, they were down 20%, and then they've been falling every day, 2%, 1%, 3%, 2.5, 2, 2.23, down again 2.23 today, $222. I think they would be making, in July, they were at these prices of 227. They rallied all the way to 420. They're back down to 220. The last time they saw these prices was somewhere around May of 2020, just during COVID, right? Lululemon's back to those prices. It's about $27 billion market cap, trades at a price to earnings of 15. The problem is that the growth is limited there. So PE is falling and crashing. I knew a time when it was trading at more than a 50 times price to earnings. Not anymore. Tesla's up about 3.5%. for obvious reasons because they had a successful robotaxi launch. We're about 3 minutes away for uh, the existing home sales. Let's go ahead and look at that number. That would actually be fun to see what's happening there. Uber's still up about 0.37%, so that's not a bad. So I would have expected it to be a lot lower. The fact that it's not is a good sign. Maybe a lot of it was discounted into the fact. Also, a lot of people are saying that it'll take time for Tesla to eventually scale up the business, which can then hurt Uber, but it's not something that's going to happen overnight. Uh, we're just about waiting to get into the green, about 4 points down, 4 to 7 points down on the Nasdaq. So nothing too incredible. Most of the stocks that were down 2% are now down less than a percent. Some of them very close to turning into the green as well. Keep a watch on oil. Oil was up about 0.5% when we were doing the live. Now it's down about 0.5%. Heading lower, guys. Heading lower. Let's have a look. Trump to the Department of Energy says drill, and he says he means drill, baby, drill, and he's saying he means it now. Let's see what happens about that. Oh. NATO comes out and says that US strikes on Iran were not in violation of international law. So cool. Eh. So Donald Trump just tweeted, he says to the Department of Energy, drill, baby, drill, and I mean now. He also says, everyone, keep oil prices down. I'm watching. You're playing right into the hands of the enemy. Don't do it. Yeah, I mean, there is going to be some effect of his tweets, but if oil starts rallying, there's pretty less amount of stuff that can be done. Okay, Iranian armed forces chief vows firm action after US strikes. I mean, mm, okay. Let's go ahead and we got about 20 seconds left to see what's going to happen with the manufacturing PMI numbers. Those are important data, especially because you are seeing soft data in America slowing down. So that's something that I want to see about 10 seconds away from there. We need to see a number above 50 because that's going to be expansion. 53.7 was the previous number. We're expecting 52.9. It should be out any second. Depending on whatever comes out, I will let you know. 52.9 is what, again, we're expecting on services PMI and manufacturing PMI, we're expecting 51.1. We got 52 on flash manufacturing, expected at 51. So that's great news. Let's wait and see what happens with services. Services also beat. Services was expected at 52.9, came in at 53.1. Most likely the market should turn into the green. Yeah, it's up about 5. Dow's up about 46. And then the S&P is up 59.79. So at the moment, it's smooth sailing. Everything looks good. Nothing to worry about. Enjoy yourselves. Enjoy your Monday. We will catch up in post market. For everyone that's new here or joined in, make sure you subscribe so you'll get a notification when I go live at about 8 p.m., 7:30, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We should be going live just on a recap of the whole day that's gone by in the markets. Anyways, guys, thank you for joining in. Appreciate it. See you guys in the next live. Take care. Enjoy. Have fun.